below $50 a barrel. Again, play of what happened on the dollar, and we are seeing a slide about 1% or thereabouts coming in for crude. Pankaj, what about the domestic cues to watch out for?
Well, if you look at the domestic cues, Anisha, it's not particularly that high. It's a holiday short of weekend. Tomorrow, day after, we are shut. So that's why probably, domestic cues may not be quite relevant today. Let's welcome in our morning guest. T.S. Harihar now joins us. Shrikant Shetty, Ruchit Jain, as well as Rohit Srivastava from Sher Khan joins us this morning. Good morning, gentlemen. Rohit, let me first start with you. What are the stocks that you would be looking to buy or sell?
Well, we're in a very mixed market, so you have to tend to be extremely careful because you have this narrow list of mid-cap stocks that continue to move higher, but the indices and the large caps are not doing so well. So in general, I mean, I think if I just say which are the weakest sectors, they're probably banking and technology stocks. Those have been some of the weakest. So you'll probably look at selling opportunities in those areas. We're really not looking at the buy side right now. There have been very few up moves, and they've mostly been in the consumer FMCG kind of space. And so we do look at whether there are some possible opportunities there, but it's been pretty volatile because it doesn't exactly work out that way. So picking stocks on the long side has not been easy. And I think it's better to actually focus on looking at selling opportunities, at least from as far as the trading is concerned.
Right. And what are the stocks or sectors you would be looking to sell?
Yeah, like I said, the sectors are essentially broadly, the banking and tech area, and mostly, more or less, most of the stocks in these two sectors, because I think most of them have stopped moving higher. Even some of the best performers, say in banking, which is Yes Bank, sold off last month, and looks like in a sort of downtrend. And you already had weakness in the public sector banks prior to that. Apart from maybe one Canara Bank, which is making a new high, most of them have not made a new high. So I think banking as a whole, tech has completely as a whole been weak for most of the quarter. So every stock in the tech sector we scan for looking at opportunities where the risk rewards are good.
Right. Ruchit, what are the top picks that you have? You have all three buy calls?
Yeah, probably we are expecting quite a range-bound market in this week. We have seen that recently post formation of the low top, low bottom on the daily charts. Nifty had resistance around 8800, 8820 range. But within this range bound, very stock specific mid caps could show quite positive momentum. Hence, we have selected some of the few mid cap names which can show some outperformance to the markets. We are not expecting major movement in the large caps in near term. Well, among the mid caps, one can look to buy Tata Coffee. We have seen some higher top, higher bottom structure formation, and post a breakout. Last two trading sessions seem to be a pullback rally. We might see another leg of up move up to 148, so one can buy with stop loss below 124. Second call would be a buy call in Balrampur Chini. Well, the entire sugar sector pack seems to be in a sweet spot, wherein in short term we may see some good amount of positive momentum. We have seen a breakout of an inverted head and shoulders pattern in Balrampur Chini on daily charts. Hence, we are expecting an up move up to 129. So, keeping a stop loss below 112, one can go long in Balrampur Chini. And my last call would be to go long in Amaraja Batteries. Pennant formation on the daily charts and a breakout has been seen during last week from that pattern. So it's a continuation pattern. It can move up to 1105. So keeping a stop loss below 1010, one can go long in Amaraja Batteries. But all three trading recommendations would be from very short term perspective, as you are not expecting major momentum on the upside in the markets.
All right, so those are the picks for the short term. Mr. Harihar, what are you doing in this holiday shortened week? What are your top picks?
Broadly, we continue to like the mid-cap space, and I think that's where a large part of the alpha is still going to come from. So we are actually buying two stocks and we are selling one stock. My first buy would be Sharda Cropchem, which is a specialty chemicals company quoting at about 420, where we believe that the earnings visibility and the export expansion is likely to take the stock up to about 500 in the next one quarter. The second stock we like is an old favorite from the MFI space, which is Equitas, which we are once again recommending today at about 170 and 180 with a target of about 225 on Equitas. We are short on one stock, and that is Oil India. See, we broadly believe that notwithstanding what the OPEC might talk about quotas, the huge $3.1 billion of oil stockpiles will ensure that oil will continue to be weak. And stocks like Oil India have probably rallied a bit too much. So we are actually selling Oil India at about 410 with a target of about 355 to 360 in the next 1 quarter.
All right, so those are calls from Mr. Harihar. Shrikant, what are you playing? Do you think the markets would head lower? What are your top calls?
So while the trading view remains a bit circumspect, we also believe that the recent trading range may be between 87 to 88.50. That's the broad trading range which we're looking at. But from investment perspective, we do like stocks, we do like sectors which we think will play out over the longer term. So within that space, I picked a stock like LIC Housing Finance, where the broad housing finance space is something which we like from investment space. So here's a stock which should do well over a medium term. The stock trades at about 2.4 times book. FY18 book, and we think it has potential to move up to 3 times FY18 book. The yields are the cost of funds are likely to fall. The growth in terms of profitability is likely to be maintained in the region of upwards of 20%, and even ROEs are likely to move higher. So we think over a period the gradual re-rating story in LIC Housing Finance will continue. So we have a target about 758 on that from investment.
That was the top picks coming in from our all 4 guests. Of course, domestic cues starting Wednesday. That's market is shut on that day, but IndusInd Bank will be declaring numbers. So that will be a big one that the market would react to. Remember, it's one of the first companies in the large cap space to declare. Among the mid cap space, Group Finance will be declaring numbers today. Thursday and Friday would be important because we'll have TCS numbers Thursday post market hours. Friday we'll have Infosys October 14th before market opening. So both of these numbers or the entire technology pack would be in focus. Even the FMCG names like Bajaj Corp, Blue Dart Express would be declaring numbers on October 14th. So it's going to be a start of the earnings season. And as always, private sector banks as well as the entire technology space would be in focus. IndusInd Bank, it may react to a preview today. So it's going to declare on Wednesday, which is a market holiday. Just to give you the basic numbers, 28% growth in NII, 26% growth in the profit numbers. That's what the street is expecting. And if we look at the overall loan growth, is expected to be strong at about 29%, by far one of the industry leading growths.
Right. Let's talk about what's happening in the fund flows because we have seen that the markets, after making a new high, have not really cracked down or broken down because of course domestic flows have supported the markets. But what we have seen in the month of September is that the domestic mutual fund flows have slowed down to a large extent compared to the previous months. It's nearly half of what we saw in August 2016. Now between January to August, we've seen mutual fund inflows about 3,000 crores or thereabouts. That is what we saw in the month of August, in September as well, slightly more than that. But perhaps this slowing down of the fund flows is due to the kind of perhaps fatigue that we're seeing in the equity rally. And what we have noticed is the balanced funds have seen the highest monthly net inflows in September, perhaps going to show that investors are a little more cautious and they're putting their money away in some safety. Also, there's been a rebound in gold prices, and IPOs have also sucked in some amount of liquidity. Perhaps that is explaining why some of the fund flows for mutual funds have slowed down in the month of September.
Right, that'll be an interesting data point. We have one of the fund managers from UTI at 10:45. It should be interesting to see what do they make of this recent data. Some of the names that will be in focus once the market starts. So 8K Miles, it has a big adjustment today. It goes X split as well as X bonus. X bonus in the ratio of 1:3, and X split is 2 shares for every 1 share held. The total adjustment will be about 8 shares for every 3 shares held. So that will be the adjustment that you would be looking at in terms of pricing. Group Finance will be declaring numbers. Generally, they tend to declare around the 130 mark. So that's when you expect the numbers to come out for 65 crores. Strong expectation always from Group Finance. It's a company which has done phenomenally well over the years, and the street is expecting an operating profit of around 110 odd crores. JSW Steel will be in focus. They have given an announcement or a notification saying that JSW Steel has been the preferred bidder in 5 iron ore mines that were being auctioned in Karnataka. So they are likely to win them. Estimated reserves of around 111 million tons. That's about 15% of the company's annual need. Not that they would save a lot in terms of these mines or when they start to do operations, but it would definitely have an impact in terms of fuel security. Reliance Jio has given an offer in terms of subsidy for iPhone 7. It's one of the most subsidized heavy discount scheme that they have given. According to Credit Suisse, that is something to watch out for. Whether this extends up to other, largely other brands, does this become a norm by other players? All of that would be quite important. IRB Infrastructure, now they had a Mumbai-Pune Phase 2 project where they had a concession. That concession has been terminated. Not that it will have a very, very big impact on the company. Street was expecting that, you may actually not see big sort of numbers coming in from that concession, or it was awarded in 2014. Until now, there was really no update on that. So the street had got tired with this order and did not particularly expect any major upside. 1 to 2 rupees decline in the pre-open. Don't really think there should be any major impact. 30 seconds remaining for markets to open. Let's get in a word from Rohit. Rohit, just quickly, do you think markets have lost momentum?
I think they lost momentum at over 8900 when we really got there, and we've made actually 2 lower tops since then. Last week's being closer to around 8810 or so. But at the same time, if you say have we got downward momentum, so that is also missing, and it's missing pretty much across world markets. So we are seeing a plateauing, hoping for a breakout from this range.
I'll just come back to you, Rohit. Tata Steel was the top gainer on Friday, up about 1% or so in opening. Bank of Baroda is up about 0.5%. Axis Bank is up close to 0.5%. Tata Power up 1%, 81.4, and Reliance Industries, that is up about 1%. SBI 1 rupee higher, Hindalco 159, BHEL 136 at the open, ONGC up to about 269. Bharti Airtel, a slight bit of decline, 0.25% down. Tech Mahindra 15 paisa here and there, and Cipla is up about 3 rupees. Infosys 1012 at the open. They declare numbers this week. BPCL up about 0.5%, and Aurobindo Pharma, it was a big volume mover on Friday because they had a block deal, and now it's doing well. Tata Motors DVR, I think, is the top gainer. 51,000 shares traded. 372 right from the word go is on the high. Tata Steel is the next top gainer now. 411. 2.69 shares, 2.78 lakh shares traded for Tata Steel. ITC, it's a big heavyweight. 1.5 lakh shares traded in the first 5 minutes. 242 for ITC as well. Tata Power is up about 1%, but volumes, one would say, is missing. 73,000 shares for a stock which is about 80 rupees in the first minute is not, from the Nifty of course, is not particularly that great. Reliance Industries 10 rupees higher, 1,118, 66,000 odd shares. Z Entertainment, really no change, so about 2 to 3 rupees decline. One cannot say that it's one of the big losing stocks, so hardly there are any losers in the Nifty 50 pack.
Well, let's talk of the mid-caps. For now, the mid-cap seems, the breadth seems to be split in the middle, but there are a few stocks that have done well. The likes of Sunil High Tech, that one is up in 9% today. Very good up move coming in, and turnover there also seems reasonable, and up nearly 10%. Inox Wind is up 5%. We've got Make Money Organics, India Cements, the Steel Authority of India SAIL, Vedanta. So the metal names are really buzzing today, perhaps tracking the decline in the dollar and the dollar index. We're seeing some action coming into the metal stocks. We've got Escorts, Bharat Forge, and JSW Steel also up about 1% or thereabout. On the losing end, Repco Home Finance is down 6.5%. And IRB is also losing about 1%. Of course, they've lost that project, and that is definitely a negative, which is why we're seeing some amount of losses coming in for the IRB infra. But if you pull up the BSE 500, you'll see at this point of time, even though the frontline indices are showing you again about 0.5% or thereabout, the breadth in the broader markets in the first few minutes seems split, and there are as many stocks going up as those going down. Our guests are still with us. Rohit, you think that there is some weakness coming up into the IT stocks, and we've got big earnings coming up from TCS and Infosys at the end of this week. Amongst the IT stocks that you think could react to those earnings, what would be your top strategy? Would you continue to sell the stocks from the IT space, which in any case are looking weak? What will be your top picks if you can take some names?
Yes, I'm trying to avoid take specific names for the tech sector, but what I'm saying is that they've broadly been in a downtrend. I mean, I don't think there are any good picks out there, so I'm really not looking at the long side. I am looking at the sell side of the sector, and they've more or less trended down. I think they were attempting a bounce back sometime last month, and we've seen that fade off. Most of the key stocks started to sell off over the last week or two. And therefore, my sense is that that trend could actually continue. So that's how we are positioned.
Right, Ruchit, a word on Tata Motors and Tata Motors DVR. These two counters have seen a lot of action over the last couple of sessions. What's your feeling about both these stocks? Given that the markets look range bound, what targets are you looking at for both these counters, Tata Motors and Tata Motors DVR?
Tata Motors broadly, it has been trading in a rising channel since last 6-7 months. We have seen the formation of higher tops and higher bottom. Even if we observe the RSI, then since the Feb lows, whenever the stock has shown corrective move, the RSI has taken somewhere support around 45 and again started moving higher. So that's a typical sign that the stock is definitely in an uptrend. Even recently, last week too, when the stock had shown corrective move, RSI again corrected up to 45 and again resumed its positive momentum. So I think the stock is still in an uptrend, surely making this higher tops and higher bottoms. So keeping a stop loss below recent low 510, one should continue to hold longs in this. On the higher side, 600, 602 are the resistance areas, and these would be the two key levels to watch. Similar trend has been seen in Tata Motors DVR also. Even Tata Motors DVR, more or less same formation on the charts of Tata Motors DVR. Resistance is coming around 380, 381, which are the recent highs, and on the lower side, supports around 350. So one can continue to trade with positive bias, keeping stop loss below 350 in Tata Motors DVR.
Right. TS, how would you look at some of the names like Tata Motors and Tata Steel, with what's happening to GBP, what's happening in the Eurozone with the anti-dumping duties coming in? Do you think they now become in a sweet spot despite the recent run-up?
Oh yes, I think both Tata Motors and Tata Steel, I think they are seeing a kind of a re-rating happening, at least I would say in the short to medium term. Let's take Tata Motors first. I think the kind of numbers that JLR seems to be reporting on a month-on-month basis is absolutely phenomenal. So there is no doubt that even considering that the pound is depreciated and the pound value of their sales could be coming down, I think the sheer inflow of orders coming from China is huge. So I think that should hold Tata Motors in good stead. Tata Steel, I think, is more of a regulatory support case. There is a MIP that was put on steel products. Now the government is planning to shift all the MIP into a form of import duty. So at least in the short term, the threat that China, Japan and Korea could dump a lot of steel in India, I think that has gone to the back burner. So that has worked in favor of sentiments as far as Tata Steel is concerned. I have a doubts how much further Tata Steel could rally from here at these prices. But Tata Motors, yes, I think that still seems to be a fundamental story in its favor.
But Hariyar, when names like Tata Steel rally, they really rally big, right? The way they fall, the way they rise.
Oh yes, of course. I think Tata Steel fell sharply when the sentiment pertaining to steel turned negative. I think they have faced a lot of flack because of cheap imports, China dumping, Korea dumping. I think all that now seems to have been under control, because with the kind of MIPs that the government has imposed, the kind of import duties they proposed to impose, I think a lot of steel companies are much safer than what they were about 6 to 8 months back. So I think that should probably hold Tata Steel in good stead. But as I said, the MIP story seems to have played out. So I'm not sure how much further upside you could have on Tata Steel from these levels.
Rohit, any view on Tata Steel, Tata Motors? Is that something which you like on the charts?
On a very long-term basis, Tata Motors is not exactly something that I've liked because after it peaked, more than a year ago, we saw that as an impulsive decline. We've retraced much more than we thought, and probably it's still going on, but we're not looking at it as a long-term bet at the moment. Tata Steel, though, does have some fresh momentum build-up, and it actually didn't break its 20-week average. So that was a good sign that it gave some time back. And my sense has been, that global commodity prices, which had weakened a bit in between, have started to pick up once again. And if that trend continues, then it's possible that you get another move up in the commodity space, more based on the global prices. So in that light, I think once again you'd have to look at commodity prices and commodity stocks. And Tata Steel, in that sense, has shown the positive momentum that you'd like to see in an uptrending stock.
Mr. Shetty, any view on the metals pack, steel or non-steel? Do you believe that the cycle there has bottomed out and there can only be upside from here on these names despite the recent move from the Feb lows?
Yeah, it does look so that the metal space, in terms of prices, definitely we've seen bottoming out of metal prices, commodity prices, and does seem that there is an up move definitely is there. Whether demand pickup, substantial demand pickup is seen or not, we are not yet coming to that territory. But yes, there is a definite price action there. We've seen price increases happening, sustaining at higher levels. The profitability, potential profitability improving. We like the non-ferrous space more a bit, where Hindalco is our preferred bet in the metal space. That's something where we are more confident of the numbers getting delivered, the cash flows seeing improvement from a medium-term perspective, and that's something which we like within the non-ferrous space.
Right. Ruchit, as we're talking about the metals pack, what would be your pick over there? Would you go with names like Hindalco or names like Tata Steel?
So we have seen good amount of positive momentum picking up with this metal stocks, and even we have seen that this higher top, higher bottom structure is still continuing. Hindalco, I think from current levels also would do better. We have seen that the recent rally, the stock has hardly retraced 23.6% of its previous up move, and has again resumed its uptrend. So that's a positive sign that you don't even get about 38 or 50% retracements, and again this higher top, higher bottom structure continues. Tata Steel, although we are still positive on that stock too, but we are seeing that some amount of resistance, I think, would near in now. Because of the previous fall, the stock is trading quite close to 61.8% retracement level if we observe on the weekly and the monthly chart. So probably this retracement level, which is coming around 420, 421, is a minor resistance, and even if that gets crossed, I think then the next rally would extend up to 480, where we can see 78.6% retracement, as well as a falling trendline resistance on the monthly charts. So although we are quite positive on this stock, but we believe that this is the stock which needs to be accumulated whenever there are declines in this. Recently, we have seen every decline getting bought into, and hardly retracement of 23.6% in this stock too. So Hindalco and Tata Steel, on both these stocks, we are quite positive from short-term trading as well as medium-term perspective.
All right, positive on Hindalco and Tata Steel. Mr. Harihar, your views on ITC. Today that stock is higher, about 1%, but over the last 3 months, that stock has not gone anywhere when the markets have headed higher. What do long-term investors of ITC do? Do you think the story has completely changed given all the regulation and higher taxes on tobacco? Should long-term investors look to switch into perhaps another FMCG player?
See, often if you ask me to choose an FMCG stock, my choice has always been Hindustan Unilever over ITC. And the reason is very simple, that Hindustan Unilever does not have the burden of cigarettes the way ITC has. The irony for ITC is that cigarettes still continues to be its biggest revenue generator and also its biggest profit generator. And that is the one business line that has actually become the villain of the piece. And believe me, going ahead, every budget you can expect that cigarette industry is going to get flack from the Ministry of from the government. So I don't think the cigarette industry is going to have a very easy time. But let's not forget there is an FMCG component to ITC which has been doing well, and with the kind of bigger, higher purchasing power that we're looking at in the form of 7 CPC, in the form of OROP, higher rural spending. I would believe that eventually all this will translate into a bigger market share as far as ITC is concerned. But if you ask me to take a comparative view, I would still believe that the immediate benefits of greater rural spending would accrue more to Hindustan Unilever than to ITC. So given a choice, I would still prefer HUVR. But yes, over a long term, to me, ITC does look to be a good bet.
Right. Ruchit, do you have a view on IRB infrastructure? That stock, after a very long consolidation, had broken out. Today, it's seeing a little bit of pressure. Do you think this is presenting a good opportunity for investors to buy this counter, or should they wait for a further correction?
I think one needs to see a broader picture in this. If we observe the weekly or the monthly charts, then since July 2014, that is almost more than 2 years now, the stock has consolidated in a broader range of 270 to 190, 200 on the lower side. Now, after this recent up move, the prices are now trading around the higher end of this last couple of years of range. So I think some sort of decline if comes in the stock, that should be used as a buying opportunity. Overall, the recent up moves definitely seems quite positive since it is taking support on its 20 EMA, and 234, 235, I think it's a good support for the stock now. So if it comes around 234, 235, that should be used as a buying opportunity now in IRB Infra.
All right, so closer to 230, it would be a buying opportunity for IRB. Mr. Harihar, Ruchit, Rohit and Mr. Shetty, thank you so much for joining us. Any disclosures? Mr. Harihar, any disclosures?
No, I don't have any of the stocks that we discussed today, but we can safely assume that we would have recommended these stocks to our clients.
Ruchit, any disclosures from your end?
I don't have any personal position in any of the stocks recommended, but we have recommended some of them to our clients, so they may have some position in them.
Rohit, any disclosures?
I haven't discussed any stocks, so nothing.
Mr. Shetty, any disclosures?
Yeah, no personal position in any of the stocks which are discussed, but yes, as a whole, we have recommended the stocks to clients and they may be holding positions.
Thank you, gentlemen, for speaking with us at NDTV Profit and giving us your views on the stocks that you like and the sectors that you think could move higher or lower from here on. We are slipping into a break at this point in time, but the programming continues on